We will be going over on how to set up categories for your inventory items. Just like your menu items, you need to set up categories so that you can organize it the way you need it. To add a new category, simply head over to the top and press the plus category sign. And in this new window, you will type in the category that you wish to add. On this description box down here, it is an optional field where you can add in information that you want to. And once everything looks great, you head over down and click the Save button. Your new category should be added to the list. We will be going over on how to add new storage locations. This is where all your inventory items and your sub-recipes will be stored. To add a new location, head over to the plus storage location button on top. In this new window, you would be putting in your new location. There's an optional description box underneath if you wish to use it. Once everything looks great, head over to the Save button on the bottom. Your new location should be added to the list. We will be going over on how to set up vendors for your inventory. You are able to put your vendors and the information into the system so that you can create purchase orders and even send them out directly using this back office system right here. To see the information about a vendor, click on the pencil symbol next to their name. Here, you are able to see the basic descriptions that you have set up for your vendors. If you wish to add a new vendor, head over to the plus vendor button at the top. And in this screen, you are able to add in information about your new vendor. We will be going over in-house units. This is where you would come to set up all your unit of measurements and the conversion rates for those units. If the unit of measurements that you wish to use is not in this list, head over to the plus in-house unit button at the top. Over here, you are able to add in the new name of your unit, whether it is weight-based or volume-based, and the conversions for those units. To see an example, let's head over to kilogram and click on the pencil button to see the information. Over here, it is listed as the name is kilogram, it is weight-based, and it has conversion rates on the bottom for your recipes. We will be going over on how to set up inventory items. To add a new inventory item, head over to the top right button called Plus Inventory Item. Here, you'll be set up all the necessary information you need for your new item. So let's add the item flour. You are then able to select the category that this new item belongs in. So let's select food. Next, the primary storage on where your item will be stored in your establishment. In this one, we will pick pantry. If you realize that the category or the primary storage is not in the list that you've created, or you forgot, head over to the plus buttons respectively to each line and you'll be able to add them in on the spot. So here, you are able to add a new storage right here from this screen. And we will go back by pressing close. Next line is inventory unit. This is the unit of measurement that you will be using to determine how much quantity you have in your storage. So for flour, we will use pound. Par level is what will be considered low stock. So in this example, we will be using 20. So 20 pounds remaining will be considered what the system will notify you with low stock. You are able to add an optional secondary storage if the item needed to. Over here is an optional button called Calculate Cost of Goods Sold on Cost Price. If you enable this, the system will no longer subtract the inventory amount when an item is sold. So if you do not wish to if you do not wish to manage inventory quantity or deal with purchase order, but you still wish to find out what is the cost of all your items sold, enable this feature and then it will do that for you without having to worry about inventory quantity or ordering. Next is selecting your vendors. So if you select a vendor, all their information will be saved into here. If you need to add more than one vendor for that item, feel free to do so by clicking the plus vendor button. You are then able to add in a SKU or a barcode for that item, the brand, and the purchase unit. So in this case, we will be purchasing from Food World in a case of flour. And when you order a case of flour, it will ask you what is the conversion rate to the pound that you are using for your inventory. So in this case, 1 case of flour will be 100 pounds of flour. Next is in a purchase order, how many quantities of these cases will you be ordering? And in this case, we'll leave it at 1. And the price is how much does 1 case of flour cost? And in this case, we will use $50. Yield percentage is how much of that flour is predicted to be usable once it reaches you, and we will leave it at 100. And now, because you set the price to $50 and you set the quantity to 1, it will automatically do the math and set it to price per unit. So it is saying it is $50 for 1 case of flour. If you were to change the quantity to a different number, if you say that you are actually ordering 2 quantities but the price is $50, it will automatically do the math and calculate it to $25 per unit of case. Let's go back to setting it as 1. Down here, you are able to split the pounds to the necessary unit of measurement that you'll be using. So we'll set this up as 3 US cups. So this is saying that 1 pound will equal 3 US cups. And it will automatically do the math for you by calculating it to the necessary amount. Feel free to add more unit of conversion for your recipes by pressing the plus button here. Once everything looks great, press the save button on the bottom left. There you go. Your new inventory item flour has been added to the list. We will be going over sub-recipes. So sub-recipes are ingredients that you'll be using for your establishment, but it is not something that you order directly from the vendor. It is made in-house with the inventory items that you have in stock. For example, pizza dough. You would not necessarily be buying dough directly from your vendor, but you will be ordering flour, yeast, and using water to create dough. So let's do that right now. To create a new sub-recipe, on the top, press the plus sub-recipe button. Like stated before, let's type in dough. Now, over here on the right side, you are able to add the necessary recipes that go into this sub-recipe. It could be an inventory item, it could be another sub-recipe, or you could manually input an ingredient. So let's add some inventory items. Going back to the categories, let's select food, and the item will be flour. And the unit of measurement that you set before will be in the drop-down menu. Here, it will list how many quantities or cups of flours is needed to make dough. So let's put 2 cups of flour. And now press the plus inventory button again to add the next item. In this case, we'll add food, and we will select yeast. For yeast, we are using packets of yeast, so we set it to the counter unit of measurement as each. So we will only need to use one packet of yeast for the dough. You can add preparation notes here if you need it to give your workers instructions on how it is done. Here, you'll be selecting how many units of dough would this make. So let's select the unit of measurement. So this will make, set it as each. So this will make one dough. And also you can set up low stock par level here as well. The yield percentage, it will automatically calculate the price per unit, and you'll be able to select the primary storage. So let's keep this in the refrigerator. Down here, you are able to convert what does the each that you have put in the inventory unit to another recipe measurement. So let's make it simple. Let's make it each 1:1 ratio. And then once everything looks great, press save. And there you go. Dough has been added to your sub-recipe list. We will be going over on how to attach your inventory item or sub-recipes to the appropriate menu item. So over here, you will see the list of your menu items. Now previously we have created dough, so let's add that to our cheese pizza. Find the cheese pizza on your menu item list and click the button, edit button right here. This will open the menu item cheese pizza in the inventory setting. And you will be able to see all the unit of serving sizes that your pizza or any other food item is being sold. In this case, cheese pizza, we are just selling it simply at a flat price of and one size. So it is each. On the drop down menu, you'll be able to see the price of the item being sold at your restaurant. Now, let's add an inventory item and a sub-recipe item. So first, let's click sub-recipe. And remember, you have created dough. So once we input select dough, select the recipe unit of measurement. And one pizza will use up, let's say, one dough. Once everything has been set, click update and continue to add more, or update and go back to end it. There you go. Your cheese pizza has an inventory item attached to it, indicated by a check mark. Up here, linking status shows you how many of your items actually has an inventory item attached to it. It's a great way to track it if you have a very large menu. We will be going over adjust inventory and adjust inventory reasons. Unfortunately, not everything will measure out perfectly the way you would expect it to, and manual adjustment to your inventory will be necessary. But first, we need to create reasons. We need to create reasons so that you can always look back and find out exactly who and why they had to adjust the inventory. To add a new reason, head over to the top at the plus reason button. Let's name this test decrease. And the type you want it to be is a decrease. And once everything looks great, press save. It will add your reasoning to this list. Next, let's head over to adjust inventory. Here, you will see a list of all your inventory items and the current inventory count. And if you head over to the top right, you are able to view your sub-recipes as well. And once it is done, go back to the items. To adjust inventory, press the green button under Controls. Here, you'll be able to select the reason. So let's test increase it. And let's increase it by 50. And remember to give it some notes so you can always look back to see why this was needed to be adjusted. So let's type in test. And once everything looks great, press adjust. There you go. The inventory count has been changed to flowers and we added 50 pounds to the inventory. We will be going over creating purchase orders and preparing sub-recipe. To create a purchase order for your inventory items, go to Purchases tab on the left side of your inventory options. Head over to the Purchase Orders tab on the top of your screen and click on the plus purchase order button on the right. Here, you will select your vendor, the expected date of arrival of your shipment, and how you wanted to place this order. You could email them directly from the system, or you can choose to print out a PDF. On the bottom, you'll be able to see the information of your vendor and the location of your restaurant. And let's add an inventory item by pressing the plus inventory item button. Drop down on the inventory item menu and select the item you wish to purchase. In this case, we'll purchase yeast. Select the quantity you want it to order. So in this case, we will order 3 quantities of yeast in the unit of measurement case. Once everything looks great, click Place Order. If you chose to print out the purchase order, it will automatically create a PDF for you to print. Let's go back to the back office. In the purchase orders list, now the order that you have made will be shown on this list, and it will show the status. Once it has been received, head back to this menu and click the green button called Receive Order. Once everything checks out and you have received those orders, click Submit. The status will have changed to receive, and the items you have ordered would have been automatically added to your inventory amount. Let's head over to Sub-Recipes. On the top, click the Prepare Sub-Recipe tab. Drop-down menu will show you all the sub-recipes you have available. In this case, we will use dough. And we will need to create 10 quantities of dough in the unit of measurement we have selected previously, which is each. We will select that we will put it in the refrigerator and an optional secondary storage if you choose so. And if you have the necessary ingredients to create dough in your inventory items, clicking the Save and Continue button will create dough in your sub-recipe inventory. It will say that sub-recipe has been prepared successfully on top. If you have a regular purchase order that you create very often, feel free to go to the top tab called Purchase Templates. Over here, you are able to create templates of orders that you do frequently so that you do not need to create from scratch whenever you decide to place an order. To do that, head to the top button called Plus Purchase Order Template. And here, you'll be setting it up like a regular template as you would in Purchase Orders tab However, this will be saved to be used for future orders as well. We will be going over reports. Select Reports on the left side of your inventory menu. Please note that since this store was created for testing purposes, there might not be sufficient enough data for an extensive report, for example. We'll be going over the various type of reports from left to right. So first is purchased item. This report will show you all the purchased items of the type of purchased item, whether you want everything, inventory item only, or the sub-recipe, and the date that you wish to choose. Feel free to select from a predetermined preset list of days, or specific date and date range is also available as well. Let's click search for today. This will show us how much items we have purchased earlier today. Moving to the next is consumption log. This report will show you how much of the inventory items or the sub-recipes has been used for a specific day or a date range. Here you are able to select a specific item as well, a category, item, and a consumption type. Did the system automatically do it, or did you manually adjust it? Let's run this report. This will show the usage of flour and yeast earlier today because they have been used to create the sub-recipe dough. Moving to the next one, comparing inventory. This will show you the inventory of comparison when the day has started and when the day has ended, or to the current time that this report is being run. So let's run the report for today. It will show you the beginning amount all the way to the purchase, to the used, and currently on hand. Next is count sheet. You'll be using this to quickly take a tally of how much inventory items you currently have. So let's click Get Count Sheet. It will show you the name, the vendor, and how much units you have on hand, and the unit of measurement you are using, and the amount in dollar value that you have these items. Next is cost of goods sold, where if you were to sell items throughout the day, this is where you would come to see how much of it was sold compared to your profit. Again, since this is a test database, we have not made any sales. Next is adjust inventory report. Like mentioned previously, this is where you would come and run the reports to see if there has been a manual increase or decrease of inventory item, who did it, and what was the reasoning.